In the meantime, we're going to talk specifically about boxing, about the fight coming up in Riyadh at the weekend between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, but more specifically about Tyson's dad, because Simon, yesterday, John Fury, not for the first time, wrote all the headlines himself. Tyson's father was left bleeding from his forehead after he headbutted a member of the Usyk camp yesterday amidst the pre-fight press conference nonsense that can go on in these times. Video footage showed Fury trading verbal insults with members of Usyk's team before he aimed a headbutt at a young fella called Stanislav Stepchuk, one of the Ukrainians' entourage. This was John Fury after it all calmed down.
You know, it's a fight game, emotions are running high. You know, and at the end of the day, I was sat there minding my own business, all I could hear, Usyk, and I'm going to stand up for my son. You know, at the end of the day, he's my son, he's the best in the world, and I want people to respect him and give him the credit he deserves as the champion. He's the best in the world. When people start saying this and saying that, because when I was in amongst them, all I could hear was badness. You know, so at the end of the day, some little idiot come forward, I knew who he was, in my space, he got what he got, and that's the end of it. It happens every other week for me, that.
So, Simon, we're all about balance, and that's because we're all about balance, and we have to be. Earlier on, I called up Alex Krasiuk, who's Usyk's promoter. These guys are all out there now, assembled in Riyadh as the countdown goes on to Saturday night. And we spoke about the moment that John Fury headbutted this fella Stanislav Stepchuk and what Krasiuk himself thought of the whole escapade.
I think what happened is normal in general for this gentleman. Me, myself, I'm not looking for any apology. The only thing why I mentioned this yesterday was because it would look good for the sports in general, for the sports of boxing, for our diamond of all the combat sports. So people are watching around the world. Children are looking at us. And it would look good if this gentleman gives his apologies to the boxing fans and to the people who are involved in the process for his misbehavior.
What sparked it, though? What did the young Ukrainian say to John Fury?
He did not say actually anything. It happened that John was blind eyes, crazy, filled with anger or whatever. Maybe he took extra pill or didn't take any. I have no idea the reason for his aggression. He was shouting, screaming, behaving, you know, like orangutan. And at some point when he couldn't do anything with proper guys from our team, he was already walking back to his side and he saw a small guy and just hit him with his forehead. And got cut himself.
You know the fight game and you know what goes on. What do you really think of John Fury?
I think he is a man who is looking for some fame, for some attention from the media, because he's probably is not happy in his life, so he's looking for happiness outside from his soul. That's the way he's trying to make himself happy. That's my personal opinion.
How is your fighter? How is Alexander? Is he ready?
You know, Alexander is a huge personality. He is a high-scale professional. He knows what he's doing. He's gone through 3 training camps in a row. So he's well prepared mentally, physically, psychologically. Everything is at place. So he's now staying calm. He's now doing usual stuff for him. And Saturday night is the high time.
Is this his moment, Alex? Is this his time?
Yes, exactly. This is the time. This is the time of greatness for the 2-time undisputed champions.
That's Krasiuk speaking to me from Riyadh a short time ago. This whole set of affairs with John Fury yesterday, Simon. I mean, at the top of the show, you said it happened. It's boxing. Things like this happen because of the individuals in the sport. Yeah. There's one message. Can't believe what I'm hearing here. Just go around headbutting people is fine, is it?
No, not really. It's thuggish behaviour. John Fury's, is boorish, thuggish, unedifying, unpalatable, uncouth, vulgar behaviour. Absolutely. But what do you expect from John Fury?
Well,
I mean, John Fury's been in prison for
expect...
gouging someone's eyes out. What did you expect him to do? Convert into a Samaritan? Is it a nice look? No. Was it a nice look over the years in boxing about so many things? This ridiculous sentimentalising of society and expecting everyone to behave in their best version of themselves. No, it's not a great look, but so what? So what? Is it that big a deal? We're in a country where people get sent back in boxes because they've been bone sawed. What are we talking about here? Are we going to get up on this high horse of ours and suggest that it's so appalling that everybody needs to apologise? Aren't the Usyk camp the same people that accuse Fury of cutting himself to avoid the fight? Things get said,
but wait
things
a minute,
get done.
This cannot be allowed to go unchecked, can it?
By whom? Who's going to check it?
But by people like ourselves, by the boxing public, by people who use social media, by people who want to be judged by their own standards.
But nobody's. Is there anybody that you've met that thinks that's good? Because I don't. Everybody thinks it's thuggish, boorish, horrible, uncouth,
and shouldn't
unedifying.
happen.
But that's the Fury game.
I mean,
that's what they are.
Is there an element here? Should the Saudis maybe have taken a couple of members of Tyson's camp aside and said, he needs to behave or he's in a flight home?
Well, fine. They're not going to do that, are they? What, Fury? John Fury? Well, perhaps, and perhaps they did say something. You can't legislate for the behaviour of John Fury and his son. It's the spirit they want to engender. It's the culture they want to create. All of these wonderful people that turn around and say how much they admire Tyson Fury wouldn't want him living next door to them. As a boxer, he's a brilliant boxer. As a human being, I think we've seen aspects from Tyson over the last 12 months that I think show him to be quite unpalatable.
What would you have done yesterday? You and I are not out there because the Furies don't fancy speaking to us at the moment. Fine. What would you have done yesterday if you were standing in that group there and John Fury catches a glimpse of Simon Jordan and thinks what they think, that you've been overcritical of his son, comes up and gives you one in the face?
Oh, get him nicked.
Well, that's the very point. And there's John, who's a Tottenham fan. Shouldn't boxers should they not be held to higher standards?
But he's not a boxer.
There's James, an Arsenal fan. Simon, I normally agree with everything you say, but this is assault.
Yeah, but
in any other walk of life, you'd be arrested.
So basically, the sins of the father are visited on the son, are they? His behaviour is thuggish. His outlook often is thuggish. As a commentator, John Fury is brilliant. When you get him away from all of the other nonsense, I think he's quite a nice fella. I think his background isn't particularly nice. Some of the things he's got up to in his life aren't particularly nice. And I think some of the things that comes out of his son's mouth aren't particularly nice. But the bottom line is, we spend our life in sport condoning people's behaviour because they happen to be good at what they're doing. And now all of a sudden we're going to suggest that ultimately this is the ultimate cut. Is it? Do I look at it and go, I'm shocked and horrified beyond all recognition? No, I'm not. I think it's crap. I think it's garbage. But there's an element of the Furies that I think are crap and garbage anyway. So I'm not surprised by it. Do I think Fury's the best fighter in the world? Yes, I do.
But that's
do I
nothing
think
to
he
do
should
with
be
it.
admired? Yeah, but what you're saying
That's
is
nothing. Doesn't matter if you think or anybody thinks Fury's the best fighter in the
balance.
world. There's but you just said there, should what the father do be reflected on what the son says or does? The answer to that is no.
Well, then what you're going on about then?
So why are you telling us that Fury, is he the best fighter in the world? That's totally unrelated to what John Fury did yesterday.
Well, John Fury is an incidental. He's academic.
So we cast a blind eye to it?
No, we condemn it. What do you want him to be done?
Just boxing,
What do you want him to be done to him? Should we take him outside and put him in the stocks and throw rotten tomatoes at him? His behaviour is abhorrent. He's a thuggish outlook in that instance. His behaviour is unacceptable. He makes himself look like a fool.
Does it need Frank Warren to step forward yesterday and say,
I've
had a word with John Fury.
Go on then, Frank.
He's ashamed of what he did. Does it not need someone to call it out for what it is?
But people are calling out for what it is. What you're asking for is Frank Warren. I mean, in an ideal world, how much jurisdiction does Frank have over Tyson Fury? That's his cash cow. That's his relationship. Is he going to do that? Is it his gift to tell, I want you to tell your dad to behave himself? Okay, you tell him, Frank. I'm pretty sure people will say to John Fury, they might not say it in the glare of the cameras. They might not say it for the delectation of the viewing public or the media that want to get content out of it. Media really couldn't care. This is manna from heaven for the median. Fantastic. Look at this. But the reality of it is that John Fury's behaviour is being universally condemned by everybody as unacceptable. It's unacceptable. But what is it you want to have done here?
So he goes unpunished.
What can you punish him with?
Well, assault for a
Well,
start.
that's not up to us. That's up to the fella.
There's
if the fella wants to
whole
press
bunch
charges,
of messages coming in. People are genuinely surprised that you're taking it. Simon's watching down the severity of what John Fury's done here. It's
No, I'm not.
completely unacceptable.
No, I'm not.
If I approached someone on holiday in Saudi and went up and headbutted them, I'd be locked up for
Fine.
goodness knows how long.
But depends if you want to press charges. So if the fella wants to press charges, because I'm sure he was an innocent victim, I'm sure he had nothing to say and wasn't being antagonistic. I'm sure, and I know that people are saying didn't do it with a big fella, only did it with a little fella, and that might give you some insight into John Fury's character. What John Fury comes out of this looking like is a boorish thug, right? That's what he comes out, and if he's happy with that representation. And if you're happy with grown men standing in a corridor shouting, Usyk, Usyk, Fury, Fury, and you think that's something that's worth watching, then be offended by it. I'm not offended by it. I think if the fella's so offended that actually we're being offended, you and I and everyone else is offended on behalf of the victim, is he offended? Have we asked him how offended he is? And if he's offended, what's he going to do about it?
I just think it's unacceptable.
Of course it's unacceptable.
I'm not offended on behalf of the victim. I couldn't care less. It's up to him, as you rightly say, whether
Fine.
or not he does something about it. But John Fury, just because he's Tyson's dad, can go wandering in amongst a bunch of Ukrainians and not one of them.
No, but
John
Fury rocking around in the media dawn till dusk as some spectacle shouldn't be in the media because he ain't got any merit for being in the media. But everyone has him in there because he's good value. And the reasons why he's
You
good value.
just said you love his co-commentaries.
And the reason why he's good value, no, I think he's a good co-commentator.
Yeah.
But predominantly, we have John Fury on the show not for his commentary, but because he's Tyson Fury's dad. That's why he's on the show. So now we don't want to have John Fury on the show because he's Tyson Fury's dad.
No, we don't have him on the show at the moment because he doesn't speak to us.
Well, that's a different subject. That's
Yeah.
a different dynamic.
That's fine by us.
But we are now suggesting that he shouldn't get away with it because he's Tyson Fury's dad. But the only reason he's in the media full stop is because he's Tyson Fury's dad. Make our minds up.
Is it just all part of boxing?
No, it's a horrible part of boxing.
Yeah.
It's the same part of boxing when Muhammad Ali sat on a boxing show saying all white men are devils, and that Joe Frazier was an Uncle Tom. It's the same horrible part of boxing that allowed Don King, a numbers runner and a convicted murderer, to be influential in the sport. It's the same part of boxing that had Mike Tyson telling people that he was going to eat Lennox Lewis's first
Yeah,
child
I
and
remember.
pulling his crutch and telling everyone to F off.
I remember.
So this is the same sport.
Yeah.
But what is it we want from this sport? Are we expecting good Samaritans?
Stu and Teesside, he's repugnant. If it wasn't for John, I'd be more of a fan of Tyson. I hope Usyk shuts the family up this Saturday. I think a lot of people are thinking that this morning.
if it
because
wasn't-
of the way John Fury goes about, are you now leaning towards Usyk